Hi, my name is Anate Vasquez, and my project is Teacher Candidate Experiences Teaching Culturally and Linguistically Diverse Students. I'm interested in this because currently there is a demographic mismatch between our teaching workforce and the students in K-12 public schools. This is particularly true in middle grades education, where teachers are predominantly white females and the student body population is majority students of color. While many legislators feel that we can solve problems with student achievement in public school through skills-based testing and accountability, I highly believe that we can solve this problem by teachers actually getting to know their students and teaching them in ways that are culturally appropriate and significant. Most of the research that has been done in this area has really focused on little snapshot pictures of multiple field experiences in very short field experiences, one-day experiences, 3-week experiences, not over a long period of time, and none of them discuss how the teacher candidates' backgrounds and identities might intersect with their experiences of working with diverse learners, and very few talk about the implications of the era of accountability that we are in and what the impact of that might be. So a lot of these studies boil it down into something that's really quite simplistic when it's actually a complex topic. And most importantly, I think most of the research focuses on what can be done to or for pre-service teachers rather than inquiring into the process by which they make sense of the cultural knowledge, prior experience, frames of reference, and performance styles of diverse students. So the purpose of my study is to examine how teacher candidates completing their critical practice in Title I middle schools experience teaching culturally and linguistically diverse students in relation to the instructional cycle of planning, instruction, and assessment. My research questions are, what is it like for teacher candidates to work with K-12 students who are culturally and linguistically diverse? I should change that to grades 6 through 8 students, actually. What aspects of the teacher preparation program were helpful, useful, lacking, or harmful in preparing candidates to work with students who are culturally and linguistically diverse? And in what ways has the move from theory, meaning what we did in our coursework, the move from theory to practice affected their understandings of meeting the needs of students who are culturally and linguistically diverse? I am going to be using hermeneutic phenomenology because I want to know how teacher candidates experience the phenomenon of teaching diverse learners. And I am also going to be using case study because it's consistent with my constructivist viewpoint that qualitative case studies values multiple perspectives of stakeholders and participants. Observations are done in a naturally occurring circumstance, and there's interpretation in context. So I do think that a phenomenological case study is the best way to approach this. Here's some more information about the type of case study. You can read that at your own leisure if you want to go back and do so. It just talks more about the case. And my participants, it's going to be a typical case study because the 3 participants that I'm working with are representative of the types of students we have in our middle grades education program. They are white Christian females in their early 20s. They've all gone through the same program, and they are each participating in a year-long clinical experience in a Title I school. This is the evidence that I have gathered. I have, for each of the 3 candidates you can see, I have an interview transcript, their end of the year reflection. I also have their EdTPA commentaries, which is a standardized performance-based test that the state of Georgia now requires our candidates to have. It's on 3 tasks, and for each task they write a 9-page commentary. So I have those for each of the candidates. I also have MP3s of them teaching, 2 teaching episodes per candidate. I observe them teaching 4 times and have my notes and rubric from that. And I'm also going to insert into the evidence my own narrative of teaching diverse learners. And one of the reasons I'm going to do that is because Heidegger asserts that it's impossible for a researcher to set aside their preconceptions. So he favored recognizing what's influenced our understandings, assumptions, and biases and reflecting upon them as the first step of research. He referred to this type of knowledge as force structure and maintained that it must be acknowledged and incorporated into the research. And so researchers in hermeneutic phenomenology integrate this force structure into their research rather than ignoring it. And this is very well suited to my study because I plan to use my personal narrative about teaching diverse students as a beginning teacher as one of the data sources so that I can compare the teacher candidates' views to my own in a very transparent manner. For my analysis, I am going to be relying heavily on the article that I wrote about in our last Module 6. In the article, the researchers relied on methods and procedures that align closely with Merleau-Ponty's philosophy of existential hermeneutic phenomenology. I was particularly taken by their use of a phenomenology research group, which is an interdisciplinary group of faculty members and students who share parts of their studies for feedback. In order to enhance rigor of the research, increase the trustworthiness of the findings, and develop expertise in research. The thing that I liked about it is that it's an interdisciplinary group, and I think that would be a wonderful thing to have because I have a lot of friends in interdisciplinary studies and feminist studies and critical theory that I think would lend a great deal because of the perspectives they would bring to such a group. However, I haven't done that yet, formed this group, or don't know if I can form the group. So I have started looking at the data on my own, and I have analyzed just the transcripts thus far. And to be very quick about it, the big things that I'm finding is that the teacher candidates that I'm working with seem to yield to a colorblind approach to diversity. Making comments like, I don't see color, everyone's equal, those sorts of things. And sometimes this is done in an attempt to treat everyone equally rather than equitably. And also other times it kind of reveals itself up in a pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality, one that doesn't take into consideration systemic and institutional forms of oppression. Another category that I'm finding is that some of the teacher candidates come from sort of a savior approach. And this approach is based on deficit thinking, and the teacher candidates make comments about wanting to fix children or save children or nurture and mother children. So that's another kind of theme that's coming out of the data. And then I do hear some comments that make me believe that some of the teacher candidates are on the cusp of understanding sort of the complexities of teaching culturally and linguistically diverse students, and they are still sort of, though, in the feelings of shame or blame due to their own privilege. And I think that's because they're just leaving sort of that colorblind or savior approach. And I don't think they've moved at all into a social justice mindset where praxis is important. So those are the sorts of things that I am finding. I also wanted to share with you that as I analyze, I'm having a very difficult time keeping some of my own knowledge about how students progress, how teacher candidates or people in general progress to conceptually deeper understandings about cultural competency or culturally relevant pedagogy. I've listed some of those here, and I do have some questions. The big question, the one I hate to ask, is that the analysis is revealing that teacher candidates lack a complexity of understanding of teaching culturally and linguistically diverse students. I'm wondering if I should change the focus of my study to align more closely with what I'm finding. And as I mentioned before, I struggle with bracketing my prior knowledge of theories and frameworks about teaching diverse students while I'm engaging in coding and categorizing, and I wonder if you have any suggestions. Thank you.